Hi, Peter.
Hi, Natalia.
I have a couple of questions for you today. The good question that I think lots of people would be interested in is if you're interested in spirituality, if you are a spiritual person,
Mhm.
how do you choose how to how to make money in your life?
Good question. Like everything, you turn it over to God, the I am presence. So whether you say, in the old school, dear God, please show me what to do. But when you say I am, that's more personal, that's bringing God down through you. So I am being shown what to do, how to support myself according to divine plan. And I do this, everything I do in my life, from the time I get up in the morning, I am being shown when to get out of bed. Should I meditate first? Should I get up, turn on the air conditioner? Should I check my phone messages? I am being shown what to do. Oh, I should do some breathing exercises. Okay, I do that. Then I am being shown what to do now. Well, now you get up and open the windows. It's very, very simple. It's mostly the feeling, that comes through. And then sometimes you hear a voice with it, but it's the inner feeling. So this applies to everything. I am being shown how to generate an income.
Mhm.
I am being shown what to do about lunch. I have food in the refrigerator, but there's a nice restaurant in town. Oh, I should go into town, not to that restaurant, but the other restaurant. I think I'm going to meet somebody there. I just have this feeling. It's just a feeling. Then I get in the car, and if it still feels good, then I turn on the engine. But if I start to go out the door and this doesn't feel right, I think I got the wrong, that's not the plan. I should have lunch here. It's very subtle, but you keep going with the feeling. As long as it feels good, you keep going in that direction.
So do you ask this question when you wake up only one time on the morning? You can
Mm,
say, I am the
mm.
presence. I need to see, or I am shown. What specific words are you saying? I am shown what to do today in
Yeah.
my whole day schedule, or what exactly
Well,
you're
there's
saying?
many ways to do this. Sometimes I just lie there on my back. I know my I am presence is above me. I am presence is that ball of light with a rainbow around it. I
Uh-huh.
don't I don't usually see it, but I know it's there. And I say, okay, God, here I am. I'll do whatever you want me to do today and make sure I get it clearly what you want me to do. I'm here at your service.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to do it officially, then when you sit up, I am the presence of God, and feel that in your center of your chest, going through your arms, your hands, your legs, down to your toes. Feel you are the presence of God. And I am the presence of God throughout this day, doing what I am meant to do in perfect divine order. That's kind of a meditation. And then you let it go and you just get up and tune in. That's where meditation comes in, to develop that connection, to meditate on the light in the center of your chest. Saint Germain gives it in Unveiled Mysteries. This is like very important book. In the first chapter, he says, meditate on the inner sun and expand it throughout your body, expand it out into space without limit. Just feel the light radiating from you like you are a sun. And then, you say, I am the presence of God. I am the living light. I love God. I serve God. I am God in action, things like that. But you develop that connection. You discipline your mind to be tuned in here, not just to have thoughts going this way and that way. Your mind, you don't want, like, your mind is like a blender with a lot of different ingredients in it. And, there's, nuts and bananas, fruit and milk and all kinds of things whirling around, and the mind will just throw out different things, do this, do that. But if you turn off the blender up there, and come down into the heart where it's still, then you're like looking at the surface of a lake, or you're looking at the surface of a glass of water. It's still. So when the mind is still, then you can feel God in your center of your chest telling you what to do, And no psychic can do this for you. Even if you knew a psychic that was 100% perfect, you can't be texting them and calling them up every minute, asking them, should I turn left here, or should I turn right, or should I phone this person or not? You have to learn to tune in, and that's how you become a master. You don't become a master by going to a psychic. You have to learn to feel that. How do the masters get their guidance? It's because they have developed that connection.
And you develop in that connection not just when you sit in meditation, but during the day. That's your meditation.
Yeah. All the time you're tuning in with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Every second of the day, feeling that presence, and that is God in you, God living its life through you. But you really have to do in the sitting meditation, because if you don't, it doesn't do good just to do the I am affirmations without meditation, because as soon as you stop the affirmations, then the mind is going this way and that way. So it's like when you have a new puppy, the puppy pulls on the leash this way, that way, and you just tug on it a little bit, And after a month or so, the puppy's walking right beside you, and it's doing what it wants to do, which is to be beside you, to keep you company. And it's not telling you what to do anymore, it's listening to you. But the mind is like the little puppy, has to be trained. See? It's very simple. But to do it, it's simple, but to do it takes a lot of practice, like to be a Zen monk, just sit in front of a wall and look at that spot on the wall for a month. That is really hard, and not think anything. But it's good training. It's like doing push-ups. You want to get strong. You don't get strong by doing affirmations. You go, you work out, you lift weights, you do push-ups, you do exercises. You have to do it. So these are mental exercises or spiritual exercises. Mastery is achieved through doing these spiritual exercises.
And the spiritual exercise that you're talking about today is to in tune with your heart.
Yeah. It's not even the physical heart. It's where the light is anchored in your body, where your I am presence sends a tube of light through the top of the head, and it's attached to your body in the center of your chest. Some people call it the heart chakra. In India, they call it the Jyoti. The Jyoti is the flame, the sacred flame. It's anchored there, And you don't have to go in a cave to do this, but you do have to be dedicated to it, to develop the spiritual muscles, just like, you go to work out at the gym, you go on the treadmill, or you go swimming, or you lift weights or whatever. You have to do the work if you want the results. So if you want the spiritual results, you have to do the spiritual exercises.
Mhm. And about income, if
Mm,
you're a spiritual person, you have to be
mm.
listening or learn how to listen to your heart. And when you do that, when you develop that feelings that I am here in my heart, this is how you could also listen how you're going to be getting mm, income that will bring you joy and sustainability, right?
Yeah, I've had many different jobs, everything from being a school teacher to being a pilot, real estate agent, a broker, because there were lessons to learn in each one.
Mhm.
Especially, that's why I say mastery is beyond enlightenment. You can experience oneness, but can you have that in relationship with other people? What do you do when you're a landlord? You have a tenant that's not paying the rent. How do you deal with that? Do you get angry? Do you hire a lawyer? Or do you go talk to the people? That's where the mastery is, learning to be in the world, but not of the world. You know? It's like why Ram Dass said, be here now. In every moment, try to be totally present in the consciousness of the one or the emptiness, where you're not being controlled by stray thoughts and emotions, where you're totally focused in the moment, that it's God in action in you, and you're completely surrendered to the God presence. So the God presence comes through you. So after a while of doing this, you're the God presence all the time, not just in a cave meditating or, in your meditation room, but you can be this in the office place. You can be a master presence in the office too, or, raising children in a relationship.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. So, Ram Dass used to say, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your family. Then you find all these things coming up that you didn't know were there. But if you can flow with it and still feel love and equanimity, that's the type of mastery. Then you can help other people with their problems too. So I hope this helps a little bit. So you have another question?
Yes. So another question would be, is it okay to be wealthy, wealthy and spiritual? Is it even possible?
Of course, that's possible. Of course, the real wealth is in the spirit, you know, that's the goal. Someone like Jesus or Mary, I mean, he had roof over his head and he had food to eat, but you'd say he was kind of a wandering hippie, in a sense, but he was happy most of the time. So, and I've lived like that in the past where I just wandered around and I was very happy, lived out of my van in the 70s, traveling around the country. And I just had enough money to get by. And I didn't think about, I don't need to have a Porsche, or I don't need to have a mansion in Bel Air or something, and see, I grew up in a community where everyone was pretty rich. I mean, the people in my neighborhood owned multinational corporations, or they worked for them. Some people were advisors to the president. Yeah, I mean, I actually knew, people high up in the government, and I didn't see these people happy. In fact, most of them were miserable. So at a very early age, I saw that the money doesn't guarantee you happiness, but poverty doesn't guarantee happiness either. So it's just, if you serve God, you will have what you need. That's the important thing.
Mhm.
And there was even a time I was living in the street, but that only lasted a few weeks. But I was just curious about what that life was like, and I found out. But it's not saying I need a certain dollar amount of income to be happy. If you say, "Dear God, please show me what to do with my life, how I can serve you and also be supported," then you will be shown. It's not,
And that's shown when you're saying you will be shown, that's exactly that feeling that we should practice, to how to tune in to that feeling in your heart.
yeah, it's that feeling that will show you. But then you'll find something comes up in your life, like something that you're attracted to. Like one day I heard that there was a new airport opening near here. And I thought, I'll go to the airport and give them my blessings. So I went out there and the instructor said, "I'd like to show you one of the planes." And I said, "Cool." And he said, "Get in the pilot seat." And he got in the other seat. He said, "Would you like to start the engine?" I said, "Sure." So I start the engine. He said, "Would you like to see how the steering works?" And he said, "You push the pedals and so on." So this is kind of fun. It's like instead of steering like with a car, you use the pedals. So we're taxiing around the airport. And then he says, so we're lined up then on the runway. And he says, "Now, you see these levers here? Push them all the way forward." So I push them forward. Now we're tearing down the runway. And then the plane is lifting off the ground. So we get up and I'm flying around. And then he teaches me how to land. We come back and he says, "Now cut the engine, do this, the glide down." And then he said, "Did you like that?" And I said, "Yeah, that was great." He said, "You could do this as a professionally. You could make a living doing this. You could be an aerial photographer. You could take tourists up, take them around the mountain." And this is not something I planned at all. It just fell in my lap. So I signed up. I became a pilot.
Wow, that's
So that
amazing.
was, I didn't really do it professionally. I did actually once. But I've had many jobs just came to me like that. Another time in a dream, I was praying what to do with my life, and the masters said, "We want you to get into real estate." And that was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to ascend. But, they introduced me to people in the dream that were in real estate that had houses. 2 weeks later, I was
Yeah.
working at a health food store. I knew I was supposed to work there, but the guy said, "I can't pay you." He said, "I can give you food, but I can't pay you." I said, "I don't know. I just feel like I'm supposed to work here." So that was okay. Then this guy came in to the lunch counter. He said, "Are you interested in real estate?" And I went, "Oh, no, I thought the masters by real estate, I thought they meant real estate, which is God. That's my real estate, is being in heaven." So I went with this guy, and he owned the houses the masters had shown me in the dream. So I ended up fixing up these old houses and renting and being a landlord, which was very difficult, but it was the lessons I needed. But it was a job, it was work I had for a couple of years. And then when I learned those lessons, then I could get out of it and move on to something else.
Amazing, amazing stories. Do you exactly know what you learned from that experience?
Yeah, I learned to be responsible. I learned to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I learned to communicate with with people over in a stressful situation. You know, it's one thing to communicate to a friend, something else to communicate with a tenant that's not paying the rent, you know.
Mhm.
But I learned to do that in a peaceful, loving way. And yeah, so again, it showed me if you're going to help people, you have to know what other people go through. So this taught me a lot, you know. So actually was a taxi driver in New York for a while too. That taught me other things.
Mm. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. Life is amazing. You never know what the masters will present you with.